So we're going to start by watching this video that I made, and I hope that it creates a great atmosphere for our discussion of the principle 70.
Truth, The Dreams of Bears by Jackie Morris. She whispered into the ear of the dreaming bear, "If I said that my love for you was like the spaces between the notes of a wren's song, would you understand? Would you perceive my love to be, therefore, hardly present, almost nothing? Or would you feel how my love is wrapped around by the richest, wildest song? And if I said my love for you is like the time when the nightingale is absent from our twilight world, would you hear it as a silence? Nothing? No love? Or as anticipation of that rich current of music which fills heart, soul, body, mind? And if I said my love for you is like the hair's breadth, would you feel it to be transient, so slight a thing? Or would you see it as life-giving, wild, a thing that fills the blood and sets the hair running? Wind in the trees, rattle branch. Can they hear the stars, here where they lie in the hollow? Head in hands, head on paw, each rests in silent trust of other, while daylight moths whisper night songs, and nightingale, the bird of summer, threads his song of love through winter's dark. Hare loves the moon, misses her bright gaze, knows that she will come again with a wild certainty.
Thanks, Katie. I would like to invite a discussion about how nature describes love, um, or how you see love in nature. This author used some of her own ideas, and I appreciated like that it was in some ways the opposite of what you would expect love to be, and that she found love in the silence. And so I just want to like kind of talk about how, I mean, for example, how many things are alive in the winter when there's no positive environment. Like the environment is almost like shut down, right? And
Like missing.
yeah,
That's one of the words I wrote. It's like
missing.
it's in the last phrase, or one of the last phrases, will come again.
Yes. Almost like an expectation that when spring comes again, there will be all this new life. But is that really the only definition of love? Is at the apex of the season? What images or memories from nature that do you have that could describe love?
I was thinking of a hen that gathereth her chickens under her wings.
I like,
And I was sure I got that from the scripture, but it still brings that image of a mother hen and her wings.
yeah. And that's a powerful imagery that the Savior uses to talk about love from a place of like from a place of concrete nature, right? Like nature shows us in a concrete way, and then he used an image from nature to describe his love for us. What other images? In the video, one of the ones that spoke to me were the two little bunnies nestled. Because when we're snuggled, I feel like we feel love. It's kind of,
Oh.
yep, those little bunnies nestled together. I feel like that feels like love to me.
The image I was thinking of is a ground full of dead leaves and underbrush, and then seeing these green, fresh, new sprouts coming up that are unfolding life and new plants, new seeds, seedlings, and new growth underneath.
Okay. So love could either be the part that's newly growing or the protective part of those winter leaves, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was just thinking of like the image of God creating this cycle of new life in the patterns of continuing life after the winter, maybe.
Yeah.
The image of just all the whiteness in the snow. I mean, I know that's like a harsh environment because it's cold, but the whiteness when you're, especially at night, when you're just everything is covered in snow, it actually brings light
Mm,
to darkness to have everything covered in that white snow.
yeah,
So I feel like that's a reminder of the light, even in the dark.
yeah,
Andrea.
yes,
I was thinking about the cycles of seasons and the intentionality of how the world was created, how the earth was created, and winter being one of those set things that's obviously a vital part of growth in life is the rest period. So the word rest came to mind,
yeah,
and silence and withdrawal and contemplation and solitude. And then I thought about the chosen and how the one rabbi father withdrew from his son. And that was love to him, and how his son recognized that later.
yeah, yeah. And like in the poem that I read, she said, if I told you my love is like the spaces between the notes of a wren's song, like the part of the song that's not there, or like the time when the nightingale is absent from the world. And she kind of compared those spaces to the anticipation, or maybe just the presence of love, even when love isn't visible. And I, I really feel like that's powerful in part because we've been so trained to look for signs of love, whether those are gifts or physical touch or some other like physical, or we've been trained to look for all of the entrapments of the commercial age, the things that you can buy and do and say and all that. And yet connection can feel different. It can be you can connect in silence. And so I just love how nature can like be kind of like a witness to other ways that love shows up in our lives.
Yeah, it's like the spring, um, the plants coming to new life is witnessing that withdrawal and that rest and silence, as well as showing this pattern of the love that life will renew. Anyway, yeah, I love that.
So, why do you think the author chose words to describe things that were hardly present as part of her exploration into her feelings of love?
I think periods of winter draw us out and send us deeper within. And so God's silence, He's giving us space to grow and to seek Him.
I like that. And I like how you point out the idea of going within to search, because truly a feeling of love is going to come from inside us and within us, and maybe even within our memories. One of the things that the author says in the book is that the answers live in the lands of dreamers, between a breath and a breath, in open hearts and open hands. And like this whole poetry book is about dreaming, and it just kind of unfolds and follows winding courses, and there's really not a lot of the poems don't really have like a deeper meaning, except for the one that I read to you. The rest of the book is pretty whimsical and just kind of meandering, but it's kind of following this idea that in our dreaming and in our imagination, there's kind of, it's a place where we can discover what we desire most, and even maybe discover like the deepest beauty that we have, even if it is residing in sadness, that there's like beauty both ways. As I was like kind of pondering this, I definitely had to like acknowledge sadness and like the part of love that hasn't been what I expected or wasn't fulfilled in some way. But I also was able to go beyond that and think about how connection feels to me, like what it feels like. And so I felt like it was really meaningful. So Katie has shared with you in the chat a link to a document. It's just kind of a journaling page. So it's not, you don't have to have it necessarily. But what I have done for this journaling page is I've given you some phrases from the poets. And these come from both the poem that I read and other poetry that people have written about love. And they're just little snippets of text, but I want you to like on this first page, I want you to spend some time journaling of your I put the title I hope for love, but you could also say I dream for love to be, or I envision love to be. So this is not what love is right now for you, but what you would like love to look like eventually in some way. And this could be any kind of love that you feel for family, a spouse, children, anywhere, anyone, any kind of love that you want to feel. And I would like to spend a few minutes just writing some phrases of what love might feel like or be like. So if you could look at that worksheet or grab a piece of paper and a pen and just put down some images, then we can talk a little bit more. We'll take like 3-4 minutes maybe. Does that sound good? So there's 2 pages, but we're going to start with just the first page, and it says at the top of the page, I hope for love. And then in the right hand margin, it has some phrases from the poets, and those, you can use those phrases if you'd like, or you can think of your own. And we are just using this time to envision or to dream about love in a way that it might show up for us in the future. Okay, let's come back together. What were some of the phrases or dreams that you thought of?
I first started thinking of understanding and unity. Those words kept coming to me. But as I just kind of kept randomly writing and thinking, um, I ended up with charity. And I feel like I've only experienced feeling that true charity twice, and they were both gifts. I feel like given to me for a short period of time. And I just, one was like in a crisis we were having with our house, and my husband was out of town, and just a lot of anxiety about moving and trying to sell a house, and it was flooded. And I feel like I was given charity where I didn't have any more worry or anxiety, and I just felt so much love that I didn't have any fear anymore. And I remember being at a grocery store and just truly seeing people as God saw them, and not having those fears or worries that normally come. So that was um,
Wow.
the gift given. And so I guess I was just thinking, well, how can I always have that? Or at least come closer to charity,
Yeah.
where I just can see people in the way God sees them, and just feel that, just not have worries, even though things aren't necessarily right around me.
Yeah. So I wrote down the image of appreciating the clearing because of the tangled path, and just like taking the experiences that I've had and being grateful for them because of how it feels in the future as a more clear, more comfortable place.
Like you said, appreciating the clearing of the path.
Appreciating the clearing because of the tangled path.
Oh, because of it.
So, like a feeling of gratitude for the whole process that I've been through. I felt like that was something I envisioned during this exercise.
I end up writing a poem.
Really, Katie?
I didn't know what was coming out, but it was coming out.
Do you want to share it with us?
Sure. I feel like there's a lot of words, but I dream love to be accepted where it is at as enough. Silence, presence, here today, hidden tonight, returning tomorrow with powerful rays of warmth. I dream love to be embraced how it is shown in whatever form it takes, outward, loud, quiet acts, beauty shared, returning back again with renewing remembrance of yesteryears. I dream love to be rising within and without, like the new days, opportunities, fresh, open, smiles, acceptance, returning home after a long winter's night. That's all.
Wow, that's really beautiful, Katie.
Thanks. I could go on. I'm sure I could keep writing, but that was
Well,
really,
after we stop this, you could maybe add to your poem, but that's really beautiful.
yeah, thank you. It's fun. Thanks for the invitation and for the
Yeah.
opportunity.
So, can I share a story? There there was a company that made shoes, and they sent two salesmen to Africa on the same ship at the same time. They both arrived on the same day. And within 24 hours of arriving, both salesmen were composing a letter back to the company. One of them said in his letter, "Stop production of shoes. This is complete failure. No one here wears shoes." Because these were men that were, or whatever, they were salesmen. So they were there to sell shoes. And the other salesman wrote in his letter, "Ramp up production 200%. This is going to be the greatest place to sell shoes. No one here wears shoes." And it was like two different perspectives on the exact same situation. And what I like about that story as it pertains to love is that we get to choose what it means, and we get to see it in its fullness, in the silence, in all of these different aspects. Like, that's part of this experience, part of our choice to see it or to not see it. Like, we learn both ways, from both ways. Okay, so we just have a few minutes left. I want you to look at the second page of the worksheet. You'll see 4 hearts, and underneath each heart, you'll see a time frame. Now, what I would like you to do is spend a few minutes and write, instead of a vision, what you imagine or dream for the future. I'd like you to write something really concrete. What is something that you would like to do to show love or to experience love in 3 months? That would be by the end of May. In 6 months, by the end of August. In 9 months, right before Christmas. And a year from now, next February. So let's take a few minutes and just write down some ideas that are more concrete. How did it feel to put something concrete on paper? That wasn't like a vision necessarily, but like a how did it feel different to create a to-do list or a by this date I will focus on such and such, as opposed to creating like an more of like a poetic vision of love? How did it feel different?
I could see myself, it kind of gave me some action words, and seeing myself putting it into action
Yeah.
a little bit more.
Did anyone tighten up?
A little bit. It was hard for me to think more of like, oh, what does that look like? Concrete. I don't know. Kind of
Yeah.
stumped a little bit.
Yeah. Well, making a to-do list is going to feel different because it's a different kind of seeing, right? It's like, okay, if I'm writing this stuff down, am I really going to do it? And then, like, what am I going to do? Like, I don't know. I feel like it brings in kind of a level of anxiety that isn't there when we spend time in envisioning what things feel like in an ideal way, like a poetic or a in pictures. And yet both are ways of seeing. We can use them both. I don't know that we do, but anyone else want to comment on how that felt or what they thought of doing after? I mean, did you think of things easier because of the first experience, the first half?
My initial thought was that I can't control other people and I have to focus on the inward, what I can change within myself, or not even that so much as what I can focus on building within myself. And so my goals were more just words of um, areas to focus on.
Okay.
Um, like the first 3 months, working, focusing on my desire for loving and accepting others. And the second month was application of opening myself to the reality of other people has blossomed, like grown. And the third month was clarity and how to love better, how to love each individual better. And I haven't gotten to the fourth one yet. So it's more because I mean you can put specific things like I'm going to do this or do that, but if this is our journey of learning, loving, and whatever, learning, living, becoming, it's I don't think you can put time frames on certain things happening, that you can put what you're going to focus on.
Yeah.
And because part of my words on the first page were about surrendering and accepting and flowing with life better. And so my goals were about my focus rather than an outcome.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Andrea, this was so beautiful. I would love to be able to watch your video and have to read the poem again so I can really digest it myself.
Yeah.
If you could.
It's in the chat. The link to it is in the chat.
And I sent a song by Andrew Peterson, the link to the Spotify song and the words. I felt like it connected.
Thank you.
I'm trying to grab it.
There's the YouTube link if you want to watch the poem again or watch the video that I made with the poem. So the poem is in this book. It's called The Unwinding by Jackie Morris. She self-published it, and what she did is she drew pictures, and then after she drew pictures, she created words to go with it. And she says these, this is only one set of words that could go with this picture. There could be 100 other stories that come to mind, but she kind of wanted the book to be like kind of like a bedtime storybook that you could read at night as you're trying to unwind. Almost I like just like picking out small phrases rather than like necessarily reading it as a story, because again it just kind of meanders. It's not really a story, but there are a lot of beautiful pictures that she drew. You can kind of see that. But well, thanks guys for joining us today on this discovery experience. We didn't really talk about Ayin, which is principle 70, but we did talk about perspective, 2 different ways to see lots of different things.
I think we did in the Hebrew way.
Okay. Okay, great.
That was so beautiful, Andrea. Thank you for your time and your heart effort to do that. That was so beautiful.
Yeah.
And it blessed me.
Thanks for joining. It was fun to be
Yeah.
together.